Hey there. So I feel like I had to create this video because when I go out to lunch or coffee or whatnot with new investors, oftentimes we'll spend 10 or 15 minutes talking about this or that story they've heard from a friend or family or someone who's tried real estate investing. That basically boils down to, hey, someone did something broke, or it was a horrible experience. So I thought I would take this, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes and just do a video about all the bad stuff that could happen in real estate. Let's just throw it all on the table, talk about my experience with each, and let's just get it out of the way. Hopefully, by the end of this video, you're either going to be comfortable with the knowledge and knowing that, yeah, some of these could happen, or you're going to say, you know what? Real estate investing, building a portfolio of rentals is not for me. If you come to that decision after this video, I think I will have done my job. So let's get started. So again, always start with the goals. You have to understand that real estate is a people business. I've said it probably half a different dozen times on different videos. But what that means in this context is when you're in the people business, we got to understand, acknowledge that interacting with people and families and neighborhoods and neighbors and all these other functions, it can get messy, and people are people, and it doesn't always go great. So yes, bad stuff can happen. We're going to run through a full page of bad stuff that can happen. We're going to break it down into from likely to not as likely. And again, it's not meant to be exhaustive. I thought I'd make a full list that would fit on a page. But again, there are other things out there. But hopefully it'll give you a taste for what's going on. And what I really hope happens, I think I've said before, and I'll probably say again, is at the end of this, you're either going to go, yep, I understand. I'm willing to deal with the risks. Thank you for sharing with me. Or you know what? Sorry, not for me. And if that's the case, the right answer is maybe you can be just like a bank or a lender, right? They don't actually deal with any of the tenants and the property around it. They simply record a note, get a trust deed recorded so they have security, and a monthly check. And you know what? That's not a bad business. Banks do great work doing that. So again, if that's what you decide at the end of this, I think I would have done my job. So let's go through it. First, let's go through the ones that are common. Obviously, the first couple will deal with money. So it's either anywhere from late payments to no payments, or bounce checks, or lies, or stories, or whatever. You are in the rental business, and I promise you sometime somebody is going to be late on their payment, refuse to make a payment, make excuses why the payment's made, talk about something that broke that they fixed to get a credit, all kinds of stuff. Next, you're going to have a situation where I call it sublet here. What I mean by that is it could be anything from, hey, somebody's girlfriend moved in or boyfriend moved in, and they're not on the lease. And as the lease calls out, if anybody stays there, I don't know what it is, 5 nights in a row or a week or whatever it is, they need to be put on the lease. Maybe it's 30 days. I forget. But that's the idea, right? Somebody moves in, lives there full time, is not on the lease. Or, hey, I got moved in and then I moved out, but I let my sister move in right behind me and I didn't check with the landlord. So she's not on the lease and all of that. Some of the stickiest situations I've had over the years is what I call a sublet, where the person I rented to or leased to moved out without telling us, moved somebody else in, rent still showed up, but then sometime the rent stopped and I needed to evict and they weren't there. And then I had to go through a squatter's rights and all that other stuff. What I call cut and run is the whole, they're 5 days late, 10 days late, whatever it is, and the next thing you go see them, the house is empty or the apartment's empty. They moved out at midnight and they just left. It happens. It just does. I don't know why, but it does. Squatters. This is again when people get moved in, they're not on the lease, there's nothing there, and they just refuse. And if their squatters have rights in California, and there's a whole process, and it's not a lot of fun. And frankly, if you've listened to my first flip, one of the reasons I'm in on that opportunity is because I'm willing to deal with the challenges that come with squatters and willing to put in the 4 months to evict them the proper way. Again, people are people, and we live around in neighborhoods, and there's fights, and neighbors don't always get along, and he said, she said, and their dog barks, and they're drunk, and they park their car on the lawn, and all that stuff. Police action. anywhere from domestic violence to loud music to parties to fights, all kinds of stuff. Emergency repairs, stuff breaks, and I can't tell you how many times we've had something break on Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's or whatever, right? And sometimes huge unplanned expenses can happen, like a roof that went out 5 years before we thought it would because of this or that, or um, you know, a water heater went out and it took out the flooring in one of the bedrooms, or all kinds of stuff can happen that was really no fault of anyone's, but it's just bad things happen, and sometimes they're expensive. Other things that can happen, they don't happen a lot, but people sure like to talk about them. Fires, right? They could be anywhere from just simple kitchen fires that are a couple of $1,000s in damage that you probably can bill back to the tenant, to full-on fires that damage portions or all of your property. And that's why you have insurance. But they can be a pain and they can be scary. Having gone through a couple of these, I would tell you don't worry about it as long as you are insured and properly insured with a great firm. They're actually less stressful than you would think, but they're often scary. Same with floods, right? We had a pipe burst one time over a weekend when the house was vacant, and a lot of water can run in a 48-hour period, even if it's just a little hose. Another one that we had a lot during the foreclosure spike was sewer pipes were breaking because trees were starved for water, and then we turned them on, and we had to we cracked I think 7 or 8 sewer pipes, like 7 out of 12 houses or something there for 1 year. It was crazy. Other things are trees fall, branches fall, full on trees fall in big storms, and if they happen to fall and hit the house, God forbid, hope everybody's okay, but gosh darn it, you've got some damage. No matter how much you screen tenants, you never know if somebody moves in or one of their kids or whatever. Drug sales and police come in, and pop activity and all that stuff. Kids, can join gangs or be involved with gangs, or somebody can be associated with a gang. You just never know, right? Um, Stuff can happen. It doesn't even have to be a kids gang. Maybe it's a bikers gang. Maybe it's a whatever. Just a bunch of guys on the street drinking in the front lawn. Who knows? We obviously live in an environment where there's guns, and where there's guns, there can be shootings, whether they be just accidental, somebody who's cleaning a gun, to on purpose inside the house, or external. It does happen, and it can happen in any neighborhood, from the nicest areas to the rough areas. It doesn't matter. And then people are people, and there's a time when we all leave this place. Deaths will happen, and if you own property long enough, they're going to happen. They can be anywhere from just natural, he or she went in their sleep, to accidental, falling and hitting their heads, to actual homicide or suicide. And this stuff happens, and it's never fun. I'm not trying to act like it's fun or not stressful, but these are all things that happen when you work in an environment, in an industry where you are going to be interacting, if not directly, but somehow interacting with people. This stuff's going to happen. And if you own enough, long enough, I would tell you that all of these are going to happen. So either get comfortable and understand that. I don't want you to be surprised. Or, if that really does scare you and you're like, nope, thanks for telling me, I'm out. Maybe you should think about trying to be at the bank or being the financing piece. So again, real estate's a people business, so it can get messy, or it can get very messy. If you're uncomfortable with this, again, there's another way you can participate, and you don't have to put all your eggs in the stock market or index funds or anything like that. You can simply work out an agreement with somebody who is in the game, such as myself or others, and just become the bank or the lender. You just need to negotiate. Always be in first position. I would never tell an investor to take a second. I think seconds are too risky. Be a first position. Be in a great, very secure position. Don't ever do a second. Establish the interest rate. Set the term. Do you want to be paid back in 5, 10, 15? Do you want a prepayment penalty? All of that stuff. And then actually record it. Record the deed. Have the note signed by a notary, and run through the whole process. Have the deed held in a trustee, which is what we do in California. Or if you're in a mortgage state somewhere else in the U.S., go through the right process, and essentially just get that monthly check that comes in. You're going to have a lot less stress, right? Because you're just holding the ownership of the asset, right? The physical thing. It doesn't involve people. And you have insurance for anything that could involve the structure if a fire or flood comes, and you'll be made whole because you are in first position. Um, I just want to highlight again, one thing you do lose, obviously, in that is you are just going to be getting your interest rate checks. Whether it's interest only or principal and interest, you're going to lose out on some of the upside. But again, you trade that for less stress. So hopefully that makes sense. I want to get all of those bad things out in one video. If you do like this video, I just ask that you like it and that you share the video with friends and family so you help out the channel. And as always, I'm just one email away, mzuber@onerental@a-time. Thanks.